the experiment video blog. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm making a video. My name is Joel Watson. I make an online comic called Hijinks Ensue at hijinksensue.com. This is the experiment video blog where I talk about my successes and failures in being a full-time online cartoonist employed by myself, working for no one but me. So, anyway, it's 4:31 in the morning, and I've been putting this off and putting this off and putting this off, but I've got some hardware stuff to talk about. So one of the things I get asked about the most is the tools that I use to make my comics, the software, the hardware, etc. Now behind me, you can see the technology that I use to make the comic. This is a MacBook Pro from, I don't know, 2009. It's actually getting kind of slow and worn out now, which is sad. This is a Wacom Cintiq 21UX. It's an extremely large and extremely expensive digital drawing monitor that you draw directly on with a stylus that looks something like this. This isn't actually it, but this is close. But I started this comic digitally. I never made a Hijinks Ensue on pen and paper. That isn't to say that you shouldn't make comics with pen and paper. If you look really closely, there's my markers and pens and pencils. I'm using them to hold up the computer that I make my comics on. That's just me. I like to work digital. I like to be able to undo and erase ink and have infinite states with which to go back and fix my mistakes, something that you can only do with whiteout on paper or by starting over. That doesn't work for me. I don't like that. I like to make a lot of mistakes and move things around after they're complete, and digital comics is the only way to do that. When I started making comics, the very first tool that I had was a Wacom tablet. And if you don't know anything about those, please look them up. W-A-C-O-M, Wacom tablet. It's a digital drawing tablet that you draw on a surface, but you look up at your monitor to see your work. It's sort of a disconnect between the work that you're doing and where it's appearing. So there's usually an adjustment period for being able to draw with your hands down, but with your face forward, not looking at your hands. After that, I had a Wacom Cintiq 12WX. It's a 12-inch semi-portable version of the Cintiq drawing monitor that you draw directly on. Then I upgraded a few years after that to this 21UX, which is a very nice piece of hardware if you can afford it. For me personally, it does make drawing digital comics much easier when you can draw directly on the screen. And that's sort of what I want to talk about. There's a barrier to entry for digital artists who want to maintain that connection between eye and hand and see what they're drawing and look at their work as if they were drawing on paper. Certainly the traditional drawing tablet where you would draw down and look up is much more affordable. You can get into those in Wacom. You can get into those for $80 or less, anywhere from $80 to $300, $400, $500, maybe more if it's wireless or very large. But in terms of their Cintiq line of products, especially if you're buying brand new, the minimum price is $2,000. This one's no longer made, but the equivalent model starts at $19.99, and the flagship model, their touch-sensitive 24-inch version, is $3,500. Okay, let me take a step back. Actually, before I talk about digital drawing tablets, I do want to mention that if you are looking to get into non-monitor tablets, you want something digital to draw with, and you find the $200 to $300 to $400 price tag for a medium-sized Wacom Intuos 4 or 5, whichever number they're on now, to be too great an expense. It turns out there is a solution to that, and it's a company called Huion. If I'm saying that correctly, they're a Chinese company, Huion. This is their H610 drawing tablet, and brand new on Amazon right now. Let me show you. Brand new on Amazon, this H610 is $59.98. This is the size and the pressure sensitivity, and has the same number of express keys or shortcut keys as the medium-sized Wacom Intuos, which you can see right here. This Wacom Intuos Pro Pen and Touch tablet is $329. It's the same drawing size. Now granted, this one does have a multi-touch interface, but you know, your software might not even support that. But we're literally talking 50 or 60 bucks versus over 300. Having used several Wacom Intuos tablets and having spent several $100s on them, if not more, over the years, I got to say, for $59, you can't beat this guy. It's upside down. Here we go. It's as responsive as a Wacom tablet. It's a fraction of the price. It's got configurable express keys. And it's actually got a strip across the top here that has even more express keys, another 16. So you've got 8 down the side, you've got 16 across the top. I really like that the USB cable is detachable. That was something that I felt like was always going to get bent or broken on Wacom tablets when they were in my laptop bag. And, I mean, look at this. It's designed very nicely. It's very svelte. It's very thin. It weighs essentially nothing. This is the stylus that comes with it. If you're familiar at all with digital drawing tablets, you would be pretty at home with this thing. It's a very standard stylus. It's got a two-button rocker button up here, removable and changeable tips. The only downside, the only thing I would stress that Huion changed is add an eraser to this. As it is, this is an on-off button that turns the battery inside, which I believe is just a AAA, on and off. And I am an eraser guy. I need the eraser on the other side of the pen. So back to what I was talking about, monitors that you draw directly on, and if there was a point to be made, let me make it now. Okay, so like I was saying, I draw on this Wacom Cintiq 21UX, and this thing was $2,000. It was a gift from a friend. I would never be able to purchase something that extravagant for myself unless I was just somehow ludicrously flush with cash. That's not the webcomic artist life that I know. So I'm very grateful to have it, and I'm very pleased with it. It works really, really well. It's got 2048 levels of pressure sensitivity. It's got express keys here and over there and on the back. And I've got mine mounted on this arm, this articulating arm by Ergotron, so I can pull it down into my lap. I can actually stand, and it supports itself like this, and I can put it down flat on my desk if I want to draw on it in several different positions to stay comfortable. But there's a problem. There's a problem with this device. There's a problem with Wacom as a whole, and that's they have sort of a stranglehold on the industry. I don't think Wacom is an evil company. I think that they make a fantastic product that really until this year didn't have any competitors really at all. They got to define the whole market. It was theirs entirely to do with as they pleased, and so they set the price for what this type of technology cost, and I think people just sort of went along with it. I said on Twitter a few months back, I wish somebody would come along and make a real Wacom Cintiq competitor. Undercut them on the price, but try to match them on the hardware and shake up this market a little bit. And I got contacted by Huion, the company that makes that tablet that I was already so fond with, saying that they were about to release a 19-inch widescreen drawing-on-able monitor called the GT-190, and if they would like, or if I would like, they would send me one that I could review and share that with you. So 10 minutes into the video, that's my point. That's what I'm doing now. I'm going to review this monitor, tell you what I think about it, and tell you if I think you should buy it. Now, to be fair, there are some monitors you can get now that you can draw directly on that are somewhat competitors to the line, the Cintiq line of products at significantly lower cost. Right now, you can check out a company named Yinova, Y-I-Y-N-O-V-A. Look them up on Amazon. They're supported in America by a business called the Panda City, and they seem to be the exclusive retailers of Yinova products. But check out Yinova. They've got a 19-inch monitor called the MSP19U. There's a ton of reviews for that one online. It's been out for at least a year, and it seems to be priced at, on Amazon right now, $5.99. it seems to be in the pretty good category in terms of competing with the Cintiq. It doesn't have the best viewing angle. That's like if you move side to side, or if you're standing at an odd angle or sitting at an odd angle looking at the monitor, you get some washout. You lose some of the color depth and clarity. It might even be out of focus a little bit, so you're starting to be like right over it. It doesn't have any express keys or hotkeys down the sides of the monitor. And as of their current iteration, it's VGA cable only. And I can't understand why anybody would produce a monitor today with a VGA cable of any kind of monitor, drawing or otherwise. Here's what they sent me. I got this box from China, and I've already unwrapped it. I've already opened it, so I can't do any sort of proper unboxing. It's empty. I will say, though, two problems I had initially. Number one, it came with this European power adapter. I don't even know if that could be European. It could be for Asia. I don't know. And not a US one. And number two, it only came with a VGA cable. I assumed that all of these cheaper drawing monitors only had VGA. But I assumed wrong, because when I got this thing, this is the monitor here, by the way, the GT-190. When I got it out of the box and flipped it over, I saw, there it is, a DVI connection right next to the VGA. Why didn't they send me a DVI cable? I have no idea. Who would want VGA when they could choose a digital connection? Again, I have no idea. So along the back of the monitor, you've got here, let me set it down. You've got VGA, DVI, power, which I had to hook up using a old PC power cable I had laying around, and full-sized USB. It's not like USB A to B. It's full-size on both ends, which is unusual. Then you've got this guy here. This is sort of a, what do you want to call this, adjustment stand for picking the angle of the monitor. You can see a little switch right here. You pop that guy up. The monitor can go flatter, pop it up, and go taller. It's actually very easy to adjust that while you're working on it. Initially, when I unboxed the GT-190, I had a quick problem where the menus were all in Chinese as well. I think what happened is, if you ordered this through Amazon, you would probably get the right American adapter and probably the American menu. But since they sent me one straight from their headquarters in China, it had all Chinese stuff. Through a few emails, I was eventually able to get the menus set back to English. And you can see typical controls for color, picture, on-screen menu, and a few other things. I haven't really messed with brightness, contrast, anything. I did change the color temperature, but it actually looks nice like it is. And the resolution, if I look on Amazon right now, it says Full HD, which I believe is 1440 by 900. That's the same as my 13-inch MacBook Pro, so it's definitely not a very dense display. I would probably like a slightly higher resolution on a 19-inch monitor, but it looks pretty crisp. It doesn't look anything like, let's say, a Retina MacBook Pro or iPad or anything like that, but it also doesn't look crappy. The GT-190 came with this rechargeable stylus. The reason it's plugged in is because before I decided to do this review, I actually had not charged up the stylus. So it's plugged in and charging right now. It looks nearly identical to the stylus from the other Huion tablet that I have, other than the power button being replaced with this charging port. I assume the only real change there would be so that you don't have to replace the battery. Personally, I'm not a fan. I don't like having to keep this cable. I don't like having to keep it charged. It's supposed to last a really long time, which it probably does, but I would rather unscrew the cap and put a rechargeable AAA inside. So I installed the Huion drivers on this MacBook Pro, and right off the bat, I felt like something was wrong. I felt like this was going to go awful. I want you to look right here. This is the pressure gauge. This basically gauges how much pressure am I putting down versus how much ink flow am I going to get out of this pen. And you can see down here the scale is light to heavy, and this is set all the way to heavy. Just barely tapping this, just barely tapping it all goes to about 75%. I can make a thin line if I just barely, like, really don't touch it at all. But a normal amount of tapping, I'm at least 50-75%. If I take this down halfway between light and heavy, I'd say slightly better. If I take it all the way down to light, it's the same as if it were in the middle. So this thing, it blows out the pressure curve really quickly, and when I was practicing drawing with it, I felt like I wasn't able to get the type of stroke that I wanted with the type of pressure that I was used to applying with a Wacom stylus. It seemed like I was getting full ink flow way too easily. That's when I had the idea to ditch the wireless stylus and go pick up the one from the other tablet. And lo and behold, not only does it work, it works much better. Look at how much line variation I can get. This is the kind of pressure that I'm used to doing on the Cintiq. I can get extremely fine lines, extremely medium lines, and thick lines with just natural movement. If you could look over here on the pressure curve thing as well, this is about the amount of pressure I was using with the other stylus that was going almost all the way to the top. And you can see that doesn't even go 50%. Press really hard and I can get 100%. But it allows me control so that if I'm doing things that require a lot of variation in the line width, I can do it. So I don't know. I asked them if there was something wrong with this, and I think there was sort of a language barrier, and they didn't understand what I was saying was wrong with it. They just kept telling me to change the settings and the drivers, and no amount of changing the settings makes this worthwhile. If you get this tablet, if you get any Huion product, and it comes with this current generation of rechargeable stylus, I would try and find one of their regular styluses secondhand or on eBay or on Amazon or however you might get one of these, because it took this from a product that I really would not be able to use to one that I could at least test out. Another thing I noticed when testing out the GT-190, and I'm again using the stylus that they did not send with it, was that there is a long distance between, I guess what I should say, a very short distance for where the stylus becomes active. You have to be extremely close to the monitor. If I pull up a little bit higher, you can see the cursor stops following me. If I get really close, the cursor's back following me. That might be a driver issue. That might be a setting that can be tweaked, but I have not found that setting. So here's the real test, though. Can I draw with this thing? So what I want to do real quick is I've got my probably an ink pen here. Let's go to just a simple soft round brush, something like this. Turn the opacity down and just see if I can draw a quick character sketch. So like I said, when I pick up the pen, I feel like I'm losing some of the connectivity that I expect, or at least I have to stay closer to the actual screen to keep the connectivity I expect. But once I start drawing, everything feels normal. I can't say that I could tell you a huge difference between how this feels right now while I'm just sort of going through a quick sketch and how my Cintiq feels. So far, I'm digging this thing. I gotta say, if I was the one footing the bill for a graphic tablet and my options were minimum $2,000 or around $600, which I believe, let me just double check, right now on Amazon $699 for this one, so roughly the same size as my Cintiq 21UX. Same pressure sensitivity. Oh, see, look, I just tried to find the eraser. It's not there. That is something that I wish they would change. So I go to the eraser tool to get the eraser. But yeah, it's less than half the price of the entry-level full-sized Cintiq, and I can't really tell a huge difference. I mean, I'm at sort of an odd angle so that the camera can see the screen, and everything looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this. And Yeah, see, I'm still kind of waiting for the cursor to catch up with me every once in a while. I feel like that has to be a driver issue, and I will probably email Huion about some sort of update there that might allow that to function better. So let's see, we're just going to do slightly larger brush. Okay. Oh, and opacity back up. And you can see as I'm drawing, I'm using a lot of different line widths, a lot of variations. I can get these thin lines, and I can get, really thick lines like that if I need to. There's a really quick sketch. Like I said, I'm at an extremely odd angle here with the camera in front of me, and I can't really see much of what I'm doing, but it feels like it's supposed to, and I feel like that's maybe the best review I could give it, is having used a Cintiq for years and years and years. If you plopped me down in front of one of these and gave me just a few minutes to adjust to the slight changes, assuming I had the right stylus, I can't see how you would be able to convince me at that point to spend $2,000 on a drawing monitor. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's sort of an extremely quick, rough, finished sketch, but, like I was saying, very thin lines, almost not there. I can get so thin with this thing. I hesitate to say it. This might actually be better than the Cintiq in terms of pressure control. I can get almost, 1 pixel wide lines and then immediately go into full. I think this is about a 30 pixel pen that I'm using with little to no effort. Let me turn this off and just give you a little bit more line variation demonstration here with a much bigger pen. Yeah, so let's wrap it up. So the Huion GT-190, should you buy it? If you're looking into getting into digital art, I gotta say, having done traditional tablets and tablet monitors, if you're coming from a drawing on pen and paper world, you're probably going to like the monitor option a lot better. It's certainly going to be more expensive no matter what. Like I said, you can get one of these H610s for 50 or 60 bucks on Amazon. That will get you started, but you're going to have to relearn how to draw. That's tough. It's tough for a lot of people. The drawing monitor experience, once you get used to the fact that it's not rough like paper and there's very little friction, you're drawing on glass, that sort of thing, it's very natural. So, having used both of these tablet monitors, a $2,000 Wacom Cintiq and what seems to be retailing right now for $699 Huion GT-190, I would probably, if I was investing my own money, go with the Huion right off the bat. Like I said, the viewing angle, it's not as good of a screen as the Cintiq. The Cintiq has sharper definition, it has a higher resolution, and it does seem to have better viewing angles. The Huion does not have as bad of viewing angles as I'm hearing from the Yanovas. So really, it's hardly noticeable. If you're in a good drawing position, I can't imagine you would have a problem with the viewing angle on the Huion. So I'd like to see in a version 2, I'd like to see a higher resolution on this thing. I would love to see some express keys, at least 4 to 8 on one side, something to let me map, undo, and I'd love to see an eraser on the stylus. I would also love to see this rechargeable stylus fixed. As it is right now, and this may just be on a Mac, I was not able to test this on a PC. I've only got Macs in the house. So at least on a Mac, this rechargeable pen I found unusable, and the regular Huion tablet pen to be great. So I'd say it's a winning combination. If you can get that pen and this monitor for $700, you're definitely going to be having less buyer's remorse than were you to get a $2,000 Cintiq. Another thing to point out is that this is a ever-changing market. I know that right around the corner there's a drawing monitor of roughly the same size coming from Monoprice, and I believe they're undercutting even Huion on the price. It's going to be somewhere in the $400 range. It might even be using the same screen. Getting them from the same manufacturer. So this drawing tablet market is changing very quickly. I think Wacom's going to lose their sort of stranglehold on these customers as the industry standard for tablet monitors. I want to see more of this stuff, more from Huion and more from Monoprice and more from Unova and these Chinese companies. I want to see them have a bigger foothold in America in terms of digital artists knowing that they've got options and knowing that they've got under $2,000 options, $400, $500, $600 options is much nicer and much easier to save up for. If you've got to do 3 or 4 freelance jobs with one of these, you could probably pay for one of these. So that's my recommendation. If you're going to get a digital drawing tablet, at least for right now, I would do your research on these different non-Wacom, non-Cintiq brands and find one that fits you. Make sure that wherever you buy it has a good return policy. If you get it home and decide there's just something god-awful about it, you don't like it, make sure you get it through someone reputable that you can return it to. But as it stands, I think I can wholeheartedly recommend this guy, the Huion GT-190.